Okay, mic's on, everybody? All right. Commissioner Zuber, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Okon?
Here.
Commissioner Bennett?
Here.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
Here.
Commissioner Perkins is absent, and we have Commissioner Acharya,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham Hudak, and Commissioner Engel is also absent. Commissioner Zuber is here, and Chairman Green.
I am here.
So-
All right. And of course, we have our community planner, Jeff Goulet, and Patrick Sloan. We
Although-
welcome
wait,
I'm sorry?
It says Lee Thurston.
Yeah, it says Lee Thurston, but we know it's Patrick.
You don't look like a Lee.
It's
depends
in
on how
memory
you
of
pronounce
Lee
it.
Thurston, who
You
retired.
pronounce it Lee, Lay.
That's okay, Patrick. We know who you are. All right, welcome to everybody. Before we get going with tonight's agenda, we met last on December 7th, and there are minutes associated with that meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I have one really minor correction to those minutes. On page 4, at the very top, the second line says you won't have to flash the roll-out course. It's actually supposed to be row-lock, R-O-W-L-O-C-K, all one word.
Okay,
It's a technical term.
all right. So we will note that.
Yep, other than that, they look great to me, so I'll move to approve them.
All right, got a motion to approve the minutes of December 7th by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Graham Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving right along. Tonight, we have an agenda of 3 items, and they are all public hearings. Do we have anything late from staff to add? Anything from the commission to add? No. Hearing none, seeing none. Do I hear a motion to accept tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Okay, accept and support. I think they're about in the same category. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Eggenberger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So our first public hearing, well, first of all, let me explain public hearings for those who have not done this before. When we have a public hearing, it's because there are certain things that come before the Planning Commission or have come to the Planning Department that are required for us to actually determine whether they can be in a particular zone or get a zone changed or special land use, things of that nature. So that's what our purpose here is tonight. It does allow the public to comment, question, voice concerns, what have you. We do ask that you speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. If you're representing a group, however, you can have 5 minutes. And we always ask that you fill out one of our forms at the podium and place it in the box so that we know who you are. And when you do come up, state your name and your address, and then your concerns. It is very, very simple, and we'll go through that as we go along. Our first public hearing of the night is the Cedar Group Investment, where we're considering rezoning a parcel from R1, single-family residential, to R6, single-family attached residential. This property is located north of Cherry Hill and east of Haggerty. Jeff, could you give us more detail on that?
Yes, this is, as shown on the aerial, this is a 2.4-acre site just south of the ITC corridor on the east side of Haggerty Road. The property is essentially surrounded on most sides except to the south by, multiple family zoning to the north, multiple family zoning to the east, a couple of single-family parcels to the south, and a subdivision on the west side of Haggerty Road. The Haggerty Road corridor is generally a multiple family corridor for the most part. This is a site that, is basically the same size as the 2 parcels to the south of it. It's been sitting there for a while. It just changed hands. It's designated on the master plan for attached residential up to 8 units per acre. The R6 request is consistent with the master plan and generally consistent with the development patterns along Haggerty Road. As I mentioned in the staff summary, the maximum number of units that could be accommodated on this one parcel is about 19 units. We haven't seen a conceptual site plan or anything. We'll get into that, later, if you choose to recommend approval of the zoning. So as part of that, we would recommend approval of the request. So Mr. Baydoun is here tonight from Cedar Group Investment if you have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. With the project sponsor, yes, Yes, sir. That's you, sir. You want to come up and add anything that you need to before we get going?
I would like to thank the commission for their consideration of my proposal for rezoning, and I hope I can realize the project for mutual benefits for the beautiful township of Canton.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you and welcome. Do I hear a motion to open the public hearing on this
So moved.
project? All right. Got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So as Jeff explained, this is just a simple rezoning, and it is, as I see it, in keeping with the master plan and the areas around it. But if there are any comments or concerns from the audience, now is your time to voice those. Yes, sir, come on up.
So my name is Daniel McCausland, 328 and 260 Haggerty. I own the two parcels to the south. So
To the south of the site? Okay.
South of the site. I guess I'm a little confused. If we're looking to see the project through, why is it for sale? So it's currently for sale, and it wants to get rezoned, and rezoning's a right of everybody. I'm not terribly concerned about the rezoning as much as I am about, again, I think we're a little flawed that there is, as the planner says, no conceptual idea of what could go there except 19 units of some size. I've lived there for 39 years. It's my primary residence. That was my neighbor who passed away, and as the same old story that you hear up and down this podium, you know, it's never a issue till it affects you of what's going to be next door to you. I purchased the property to the south to have a buffer between the so-called townhomes that became rental apartments, and I'm fortunate I did that. And me and my neighbor enjoyed a lot of quiet years there. So again, I say that I'm not going to really be too terribly rattled about the zoning as much as I am concerned about the futuristic of the property. I guess the first question I'd have is the home going to be raised, and when will it be raised? Or is it just going to sit there in a stagnant vacuum?
Well, at this point, all we're dealing with is
I
the zoning,
understand.
so we
I
don't know what the...
I understand, but the
We don't
project's
have a
fine.
site plan or
Right,
anything.
again, I think that's a little bit flawed. You know, we seem to be making some headways here. We have a nice billboard up that shows us about the zoning now, so everybody can see. That's new to the table here now from the last, you know, umpteen 40 years. We finally got notices being posted, so, you know, you could see what's going on. But again, it's a piece of property that's been sitting here, you know, stagnant for a while. And
So what you're saying is that you'd like to know more about what's going to happen and see
yeah,
see
I
the
think
future.
I think
Okay.
going forward, that's a change that should be implemented. Like I said, I'm not against the zoning. I'm not against the zoning at all. You know, if that's what they want to do and zone it, that's fine. But there's just that gray area that you don't have any idea what's going to be proposed.
Right, exactly. We don't know exactly what, but we have already master planned that could turn into this zone, which is what was before us tonight, and that's all we're dealing with.
Right, but you know, there's other municipalities that require some type of conceptual idea turned in with the zoning request. And I think that's where we've always fallen short in this
Okay,
community.
well, we'll take that up as a future consideration as to whether or not that should be a requirement. Sometimes the project sponsors do provide a preliminary or conceptual site plan, but they're not required to do that.
I understand, and I say that's where we fall short.
Okay.
We fall short as a community for not knowing potentially what could happen there. And again, that's the shortcomings that we still have.
Okay, thank you.
Now, addressing the home itself, I don't know who's going to take up that issue.
Okay, that's for the future. We don't know what's going to happen. This could be denied tonight, and that'll be a totally different scenario.
I understand that. Like I'm saying, there's a couple things in play here. You got a parcel that's for sale. You got a parcel that's wanting to be rezoned, but you also have a parcel that has been vacant for over a year.
Okay.
Nice and quiet. There's no doubt about it. It's back to the peaceful living that I once enjoyed. But
Okay.
again,
Well, we're gonna take up the things that this commission is, prompted to do.
those are
And
things that
the other things are not part of that,
they
function.
should all be part of the consideration.
and we'll take that under advisement. Thank you. Anyone else from the audience?
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the public hearing.
All right, we've got a motion to close the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to just start down at this end of the commission. Mr. Acharya?
Yeah, I have no questions.
Okay. Ms. Graham Hudak?
Thank you. So actually, just in general base, if you could just give an overview, Jeff, in terms of what could happen there in the maximum. I mean, basically, as we know, it's zoned, we're looking at medium-high density residential designation for our, on our future land map. So basically, the most that could be put there are
19 units.
19 units, okay, okay.
So depending on the width of the property, depending on the setbacks, depending on the style of the development that they're proposing, it could be a two-story building, they could be townhouses, they could be, a variety of different, buildings that would fit on the property to meet all of the setbacks and the buffers.
Is there any wetlands there that they'd have to watch out for in that particular piece of property?
I'm not sure. So, they have to do that investigation as part of the site plan process. They have to provide us all of those, easements, all of the wetland boundaries, any other, environmental, issue on the site that, would impact development of the site when they come in with their preliminary site plan.
Okay, so that would basically determine what could be placed there also.
That's correct.
So-
So,
Commissioner Zuber?
I don't have any issues with the project, the proposal.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Bennett?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Okan?
Just to the applicant, I mean, do you have any future plans with this? What are your thoughts of what's going to be developed on this?
I think, like Jeff just mentioned, we are authorized for 19 units, and this is, the process we're going to follow for the planning and everything.
you don't have a specific plan at this point?
We drew, just sort of sketch, and we do have a survey already for the land, and I think I did present it at one point, and they said it's not necessarily for this commission for the rezoning.
Right.
We did already a survey, and we did some,
You have a conceptual plan?
yeah, conceptual plan, and for 19 units. We already know, the directions of the township for what can be done on this land, and we're just gonna follow the rules and regulations.
Are you looking at townhouses or condos? What's when you say 19 units?
This is the point here, we have to really make market study. We are open, we can do just whatever, the market really, need.
Okay.
And in this manner, because we don't want to do something, that we cannot sell or rent, whatever.
Sure.
We want to do something that is really dignify the city and us.
Okay, thank you.
If the other parcels became available to the south, would you consider those parcels and incorporating into a larger project?
I met, our neighbor one time, but at that time I wasn't the negotiator because I travel a lot. So I had my my nephew doing the negotiation, and I guess they came. He was interested in commercial zoning, and obviously it wasn't possible. So we opted, for what the city
Right.
allow us to do. So we are open to any idea.
Okay,
that,
I was just curious, yeah.
we
Again,
are-
that's not
we
before
met-
us, so.
We met on several occasions, but myself, I met only once with him, but I wasn't a negotiator, because that was my...
Okay. So if we approve this, you could build 19 units, you could build 5 units, you could leave the one that's there, what you could do pretty much, you could just raise it and leave it vacant, right? So that's what we're about tonight. Yeah, okay. I don't see any problem with the zoning change on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I move to recommend approval of the request to rezone parcel number 051-99-0003-000 from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Attached Residential District.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Okan. Any further discussion on that motion? Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote on this?
Certainly, Commissioner Okan,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Acharya,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber, yes, and Chairman Green.
Yes. So the next step, Jeff, would be to go before the trustees?
Yeah, the trustees have to hold 2 readings on the ordinance amendment, so the first reading will probably be presented to them on the 28th of this month.
Okay, all right. Good luck, sir. All right. Our second agenda item tonight is the Culver's Drive-Through Restaurant, where we're considering a special land use for this property, which is located just north of the Meyer store in the Meyer parking lot, southwest corner of Ford and Canton Center Roads. Jeff, could you tell us more on that?
This request has several different components to it. Part of it has to do with a modification of the Myers parking lot parking field in order to create an out parcel. Part of it has to do with approval of the private road easement to serve that parcel. And then the third part is consideration of the special land use for the fast food restaurant for Culver's. So basically, the analysis in your summary, Culver's is proposing to build approximately a 4,100 square foot fast food restaurant on a 1.81 acre out parcel in the middle of the Meyer parking lot. This is basically adjacent to the north-south and east-west cross access roads within the Meyer parking lot. So there's adequate access for the parcel. What they're proposing, though, is the private road easement would come in off of Ford Road, so that's the existing major driveway adjacent to the gas station that comes in. The parcel has to have at least 120 feet of frontage on the private road, so they have to extend the private road easement to the west across the north side of that parcel to provide enough access to meet the special land use criteria for a fast food restaurant. So Meyer did a parking calculation for their parking modification and the lot split. They would be reducing their parking field by 275 spaces. Based on their needs and their parking calculations, they need about 1 space per 3, about 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet, or 738 spaces. They still have 808 spaces left. Staff doesn't have a problem with that based on their peak parking demand. Meyer at one time had a huge expanse of parking. There's a large area to the west side of the building that still goes fairly unused. As you can see on the aerial, this portion of the parking lot basically ends up being parking for, I think, employees at the restaurant across the street. That's, convenient parking for them. In the past, this area has been used for seasonal sales permits for fireworks sales and those kinds of things. So there is good access to it. One of the issues we've had in the past is kind of the mess right at the end of the driveway coming in from the gas station and the cross access, because there's no islands there, so people don't know exactly where to stop and continue through there. As part of the overall plan for Culver's, they're creating an island which would basically create a cleaner T intersection there, and then their access would basically be coming in through the north-south driveway, kind of behind Spoon's there where the existing driveway is. That would become the major driveway through the Culver's site. So then they would have access to the north and south side to the, that would have access basically to the 2 north or to the 2 east-west driveways. So one of our issues was traffic control through the site, so they've provided a traffic control plan and how they're going to stop traffic and how they're going to manage traffic in and out of the out parcel. If I can get to the overall conceptual plan here. Here's a good description of it where the Meyer driveway comes in. You can see that, that would be easier to stop control. It'd be almost a 3-way stop system there. So, instead of a cross driveway through there conflicting with it from the south, that island then would divert traffic to the east and west and through Meyer parking lot and over to the west to the north-south driveway serving the Culver site. The internal design of the Culver site provides adequate access around through their drive-through lane, and they also have kind of a waiting lane for people waiting to pick up food, similar to what McDonald's and other people do for people that have ordered and are still waiting for their food. They have an area for them to pull off, and then the employees come out and deliver the food, so that the drive-through doesn't get backed up, and they can answer more questions about their operation when they do their presentation. So essentially, they've addressed most of our issues relative to the overall special land use criteria and conceptual site plan. We'll see more when they bring back the final site plan. They provided a conceptual plan of what the building may look like, stone and brick with their blue awnings. I think you've seen the more contemporary Culver's restaurants that have been built recently. You know, a lot of them are highway interchanges. This one, they like to be right in the middle of the community. They have a relationship with Meyer. Meyer does a lot of out parcels with Culver's in them these days, so this is not unusual for Meyer. They like to do out parcels for restaurants because restaurants don't compete with their retail business. So we feel that with the changes they've made, and we've worked on this, overall conceptual plan back and forth to make sure that it works and that it meets all the criteria so that when they come in from site plan, they're not going to have any issues that may require a variance. So we feel we're comfortable. Provides it a lot of additional green space to the Meyer site with the wide island. Some of those islands are about 20 feet wide, so that provide a lot more green space than what Myers currently has in the parking lot, and I think it'll provide better traffic control through the Meyer parking lot. So staff would recommend approval of the parking lot modification, the private road site plan, and the special land use for Culver's. So we have representatives of Culver's and their engineer here tonight. If they'd like to come up to the podium, and they can get into a little bit more detail than I did on the overall plan, and I can go back and forth on the images as you need me to. So,
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, come on up. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Brinks. I'm with Venture Engineering, and I've been working with Meyer and obviously Culver's for a while here, back and forth with the staff to kind of come to the plan that you have in front of you tonight as far as a conceptual goes. So yeah, I mean, we essentially, I don't want to rehash everything that Mr. Goulet went over, but yeah, effectively, we kind of see this as a win-win-win. For one, Meyer, obviously, with technology changes and behavior changes of shoppers, I know my wife and I do our shopping now at the iPad on Friday night and decide when we want our groceries delivered. So, the parking needs that Meyer has now is just a lot less. And so they have an opportunity here to kind of right-size their parking a little bit. And so that's a good thing for them to also then obviously sell off a little bit of property. For Culver's, obviously it's a tremendous location for them to be. It's in a great community. I know that these folks have been looking for property within the area for quite a while because it's such a great place to be. And this works out great for them. They kind of symbiotic with the Meyer, and also as Jeff mentioned it, hopefully we'll clean up some of the loose traffic movements within the Meyer site with some of these improvements here. And then, finally, we think it's, a win for the township as well. Obviously, you get rid of a bunch of unused parking, underutilized property in the township that can be put to better use with some additional landscaping, more green space, some jobs for some folks in the township that the Culver's will bring, and also, just another choice. Culver's is a great restaurant and another choice for people that want to go out for dinner on a weeknight or weekend, and hopefully they get some groceries while they're there too. So with that, certainly we'd be happy to answer any questions. Folks from Culver's are here, and any operational questions that you might have, we'd certainly be happy to answer them. So.
Thank you very much. And with that, do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All right, we've got a motion to open the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Graham Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go to the floor, the audience first. Anyone like to comment, question, anything going on? Yes, sir, come on up.
The parking lot version,
Who are you?
Robert McCausland, 2011 Lots Road. The parking lot, not that. Right, that site there. With the criteria that we have today, Jeff, could I build that same center on vacant land? With that density?
what's your question?
I think it was pretty clear. Could I-
On
could I
which
dupli-
center on which
Could I
land?
duplicate that same center on a vacant piece of property in Canton Township?
On which center? Meyer or Culver's?
All of it.
If it meets all the.
Answer is no.
It meets all the requirements of the
Criteria
code.
doesn't work. The open space calculations, everything else, you hold the vacant land higher standard than you will the redeveloped parcels, and that's,
The
I guess
redeveloped
that's
par,
something.
the redeveloped parcel will require 25% open space. With their landscape islands and everything else, they would meet the requirements for the 25% open space required under the central business district overlay. So the answer, Bob, would be yes, it meets all the requirements. That's why we went through the detailed, this is why this one has a little bit more detailed conceptual plan than we normally get, because we wanted to make sure that it met all the requirements and that the planning commission had all the considerations in front of them before they looked at the special land use.
Was that your question, sir?
Yes, that's one question. I don't see a detention pond. Do we have detention or retention on this site?
Site plan will probably use underground detention, similar to the site where Einstein is. They'll probably have to do stormwater detention underground. That'll be a determination of Wayne County for stormwater.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to close the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to start down at this end. Commissioner Oken, any questions or concerns?
Yeah, just a couple. Jeff, can you go back to the proposed site plan, please? Thank you. I guess one of my concerns I see here is, the main entrance off of Ford Road is supposed to be the Meyer gas station entrance.
That's correct.
But everything that I see exiting this site lines up directly with the Chase Bank. So if I was leaving Culver's, I would go straight, right through Chase Bank and take my right onto Ford Road. And I'm not sure why this site plan isn't kind of flipped, so the main drive lines up with the main driveway of Ford Road. So I would have some concerns if I was Chase that we're dumping more traffic onto their site. Just a side note, and I don't know if this is an ordinance thing or if we can allow this or not, but plans like this, I see more and more, because we have more and more development here, right? And it's starting to get mixed with banking and fast food and the shopping and things like that. I would like to see, I know it's probably too late for the big overall Meyer plan, but I would love to see internal sidewalks. I mean, I see more and more people that are parking, picking up their groceries, but want to grab a bite to eat, so they'll just walk over to Spoons and things like that. And it seems like when you get a big parking lot like this, nobody knows where to walk, and you got cars just flying in and out. And it'll just be nice. And like I said, I know this is a one-off because there's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outlets of this parcel, but it'd be nice, like in the future, if our developments could have some kind of interlocking connection with the sidewalks, just to.
That Alan, a site plan to see whether there's a way to connect this site to the Spoon site. But otherwise, it's just in the middle of a parking lot, you're right.
I know, it's tough right now, this being so developed, but again, my personal feeling is, this, I really think needs to be connected to the main driveway on Ford Road, the Meyer gas station. I don't know, to me, it looks like it's reversed.
And I think one reason for that is the existing driveway already exists there through Meyer, so they're trying to utilize that as their driveway. It'll end up getting pushed over a little bit. But I think the other intent, and Culver's representatives, I think they wanted to move the building there so it was more visible to Ford Road at the end of the driveway. So if they move the driveway there and flip it, then the building gets basically positioned behind the bank building, so it's not as visible from Ford Road. So I think that's the reason why they've positioned the building that they have. The existing driveway already has established traffic patterns, but that's something that they can address if you wanted to address
Has
that.
Chase Bank been notified, and any kind of word back from them?
They were notified of the public hearing tonight, so, as an owner of the parcel, so. Meyer controls all of the driveways. They're the ones that issue the reciprocal easement agreements to all of the individual out parcels. So Meyer, in this case, it's an older project, and they've split these parcels off over time, don't have reciprocal easement and joint operating agreements. Basically, they control all of the driveways. So it's really up to Meyer where they give access and who they give access to on these driveways. So I think on Chase's driveway, I think that's an exit for them. I don't know whether it's an entrance.
What is, I've used it.
Entrance. Yep.
Oh, it is, well, I use TCF, so I know how that works in there, and it's, so you basically you're gonna have an intersection point there, so.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that Chase Bank being more and more utilized for exiting. That's all I got. Thanks.
Commissioner Bennett?
I don't have any concerns about it. I think it's a good use of that parking area there. That seems to be a little, kind of a collector for debris. Just kind of, you know how when parking lots get underutilized, things just kind of, collect in there. And when you're kind of heading into Meyer, nobody really knows if they should stop or go. So I think if it's going to go in an outlet at Meyer, this is a good location for it. Something a little different, bring something different to the community. Right now, I guess you either have to go to Westland or Belleville. Those are the only two locations for Culvers. So, anytime we can keep people spending their money in the community and, that they go eat dinner there and then head into Meyer to shop, even better. So. Westland? And that one's in a Meyer outlet as well, okay. So,
Do you have any concerns with the flow of the project or the integration into the entire flow of the Meyer situation there?
I don't, I guess until Alan mentioned, I didn't think of the Chase, the potential for Chase to be kind of an exit. I tend to be a more cautious driver, so I tend to stay at the main exits if it's an exit. If it's not designed for me to exit out of, I wouldn't think to do it, but hearing someone else mention it, I could see somebody just cutting through, so. But I guess if Meyer's not worried about it, Chase isn't, Chase would have been notified if they're not concerned. Not much else we can do about that, so.
That's something we can ask them to evaluate as part of their traffic control plan at site plan level and see whether there's additional traffic control signs or things that can be done there to prevent that cross-through traffic there if it's going to cause a problem with Chase customers. So.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
I wanted to just talk a little bit about Ford Road and Canton Center Road in terms of how somebody's going to be turning in to get to this restaurant. Because obviously a left turn off of Ford, there's not going to be another light because there's one right there. But then if they turn left onto Canton Center, then they've got to make another left into that area, which I already think is a bit crazy.
Well, Meyer has about 5 different points of access to Ford or Canton Center Road. So depending on which direction where you're coming from and where you're going to, it's just like anybody else using the Meyer site in terms of how you come and go. So.
Yeah, just go down further and come in that way. Okay. Yeah, it's just Ford Road's already pretty crazy. I just don't want it to get any more dangerous.
Okay. My concern, and it might go hand in hand with Commissioner Okun's concern. My concern was, with the easement in the north-south entrance or egress from Ford Road and widening of that, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we expect more traffic to be coming in off of Ford Road and going from that to Ford Road. But when you get to that inner drive, you're going to have to stop and turn. So we're basically creating a logjam because of this design. And maybe Commissioner Okun's point of flip-flopping creates a scenario where you could go all the way down to the drive that goes in front of Myers. In other words, you get people into the overall site that need to go there, without having to stop at that point and backing up traffic to go either left or right. It's something worthy of looking at. I like the design, the fact that it's controlled within the Culver's design, and that if you're going to Culver's, you're in there. and you can go out a couple of different ways, but I'm, again, concerned with the overall site effect of the entire development by coming in from the north.
Well, I mean, they can
You're
come in.
blocking that.
I mean, they can come in from the south, too. That drive goes all the way through.
But a lot of
So-
people are going to come from the north, because that's Ford Road.
But one of the things that we don't want to necessarily do is put all that traffic directly in front of Myers and where the pharmacy exit is. Because if the driveway went north-south from the existing Meyer driveway where the gas station is, and it came directly south, and it came out in front of Myers, that's where all the traffic, and that's where the problem is in front of Meyer right now, in terms of where all of the cross-traffic is directly in front of Meyer and where the pharmacy exit is in front of Meyer. So,
I understand.
so you either have an issue with people navigating, getting in and out of the site on the north drive, or you cause a worse problem directly in front of the corner of the Meyer store.
Well, personally, if there was going to be a large stacking situation, I'd rather have it be more inside the site than stacked up at the gas station.
I think that's
because
what's
there's
going to
less
occur,
room.
because people aren't going to exit out onto those driveways until it clears. Entry traffic, I mean, right now, we've got a lot of cross-traffic that goes through there anyway. I never have a problem turning left into, in along the Meyer Drive to go into any of the out parcels currently. It's just a matter of people slowing down, or there's going to be stop controls here, so people will stop, so then you turn left once somebody's. So that's what we had them do a traffic control plan, is so that we can have better stop controls along that east-west driveway. So, because currently there is only one, basically in a concrete, thing in the middle of the parking lot telling people where to stop at, when they're coming in from the gas station or leaving from the Meyer parking lot and getting into the east-west driveway. Because Meyer doesn't have landscape islands all the way across that entire driveway. They only have one every other one. So this basically creates an entire island there where it basically will prevent weird left turns or people coming in and going out at weird locations, and providing them a better place to, come in and go out from along that east-west drive. So, it's, yeah.
Well, yeah, I can see either way, but I also agree with Commissioner Okan. In those heavy traffic situations, if I'm coming out to the north of the Culver site and I see that straight shot going right straight through Chase, if I'm in a hurry, I might consider taking that.
People take the path of least
I
resistance,
understand, but why give them the opportunity if that's?
well, they're all, everybody traverses all of those commercial sites all day long, based on what the path of least resistance is. That's why we have cross-access between all of our commercial sites, because it gives people different options of going. They may need to go to the bank from Culver's.
Oh, that's true.
They may need to get from the bank to Culver's. Yes. Right. Well, this is interlinked in the parking lot with the main east-west driveway.
The other bank with TCS was connected to Chase, and there's only one driveway instead of two.
Right.
then it's a little confusing.
Right. So, I mean, you have multiple entrance and exits out of that east-west driveway. And yes, is that east-west driveway busy? Yeah, it's busy, just like the east-west driveway is in front of the Meyer store. Both of those basically serve as roads within the site. So it's a matter of how you control traffic along that road and where the access points should be and where the stop control should be. And we can have them take a further look at, and maybe work with Chase to see whether or not they might be able to maybe reorient Chase's driveway to come out at a better location than it is currently. I mean, Chase just has parking lot along the edge of the driveway there. There may be an opportunity for them to work with Chase to move Chase's driveway or to consolidate Chase's driveway so it doesn't conflict with their driveway.
Let's
a
hear
look
from
at
the
that.
rest of the commission.
So-
Commissioner Zuber?
Yeah, I actually like the way this is laid out in terms of coming in from Ford Road. I generally travel east on that road from Canton Center across, and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to that intersection that's now a four-way stop by the gas station and almost gotten beamed by somebody who doesn't understand it's a four-way stop. So I think that this will help alleviate that, because a lot of times the people who are doing the blowing through are coming down the aisle from Meyer, and there's no stop sign there because it's just the end of an aisle, just like the end of the other 20 aisles. I think this will help clarify that, especially if they put some stripes on the pavement like are shown on this plan. And I think getting that, having that kind of traffic island come out to the east side and cause people to slow down before they blow through that intersection will help a lot too. I can understand the concern about Chase, but I agree that maybe that can be dealt with some signage, no through traffic or something like that. I am,
We all obey signs, right?
I mean, if it's not there, no one's going to obey it, right? But I can't tell you how excited I am to see that Culver's is coming to Canton, so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, because I generally go to Belleville for my fix, but, this will be nice.
Commissioner Graham Hudak.
Actually, it's interesting because I use Chase Bank and I use Myers, I use all those stores, and to avoid Ford and Canton Center, always come, once I get done at Chase, I come down that straightaway to get to the south side of Canton.
Oh.
I always go there. So I'm assuming you can still drive straight through then, that'd still be a driveway to do that. But, okay, then that's one question I had. Another question is like Commissioner Eggenberger said, access. I mean, most of the Culvers that I drive through, because I love Culvers also, you could turn right in and get in on the Myers parking lots. And this is going to be tricky if you're headed west on Ford Road, and it's hard to just turn into there.
Turn into you have different driveways to turn into the
We'd have
Meyer
to turn
parking
in
lot.
basically like the
You
Chase
could come
Bank.
you could come in over by Tim Hortons and Wendy's. You could come in that entrance, come down and shoot across. Or you could come in, like people come in to go to the gas station.
Yeah, you'd
It's not
have
any
to.
different than coming to the gas station.
But just even, I mean, that Tim Hortons and Wendy's, that's another story. That's a very confusing. Yeah, trying to.
No, I mean, the Meyer driveway that comes along the east side of the Meyer site.
Right.
At that corner. That's the other major entrance. So if people were coming west along Ford and they have 2 points on Ford Road to enter the site, just like they would if they
That's
were
if you
going to
know.
Meyer or going to the bank.
Right,
So-
that's if you know that's, if you know the area, but if you're just driving by, you say, hey, Culver's, that's when you're stuck. It's like, how do I get in there? That's the bad part about that part. I mean, I like Culver's, and whenever we see it, whenever we are, that's our first turn.
I mean, one of the things to consider is this is in the middle of the community. It's not at a highway interchange. So, I mean, basically, they're here to serve the community. So 80% of their business is based on people who are already there, who are already on the road, who are already in the parking lot. So basically, most of their traffic is basically, bypass traffic that's already on the road and that's already in the community. They're not generating a lot more traffic. Nobody from Westland is going to come to Canton to go to because they've got one in Westland. They're not drawing people from outside the community to come to this location. A good portion of the traffic is already here. It's already in the parking lot. It's already on the road. So it's not generating a lot of additional trips just because it's serving the community. It's a community-based service. It's not a big regional generator.
How will signage be used? I mean, right now, we have signs out on Ford Road for Myers, and Spoons has their sign, and everybody can see from the edge. How would you utilize that for Culver's?
They would have to work with Meyer to change the Meyer gas station sign to a multi-tenant sign if they wanted a sign on Ford Road. They would have to work with Meyer to change out that single-tenant Meyer gas station sign to a multi-tenant sign with, just like they did on Canton Center with the Einstein Bagels and the other site. They changed out that Meyer sign to do a multi-tenant sign at that entrance. So that's what they would have to do on Ford Road.
That would only be on Ford, it wouldn't be on Canton Center Road also?
There's already one there.
For the Culvers.
Oh, I'm sure they would get their sign.
No.
But
Meyer
on
as a shopping center can have 2 multi-tenant signs. They've chosen to, basically, they opted to put in 2 single-tenant signs. Meyer doesn't really care about their out parcels. So they're going to require their out parcels to retrofit any signs to put them on it. So we'll review a sign plan if and when they make a decision with Meyer on what to do with signs at Ford Road.
Sir?
Why
would
don't you come up to the podium, yeah.
please?
Right now, the plan is to take their existing gas station sign, and we had some insight from the city on what it would become like. And we're going to use, well, we won't use that sign, but we're going to scratch that sign and build a new sign. It would have Meyer Gas on top and the rest of it would be utilized for culverts. We do have a sketch drawn up for it already.
Will you be complying with, because I know the township has a multi-tenant
Yeah.
design that,
Yeah, they have to meet the multi-tenant sign requirement, the monument sign, so.
All about complying.
okay.
Yeah, this is the franchisee. Why don't you put your name and address for the record?
My name is Derek Sassy, and I think Jeff did a great job. I think Jeff did a great job. We just really want to be part of the community. Jeff can attest where this is going on about 2 years, and we really just want to comply and looking forward to it. On a personal note, this is my brother Lance, and he's going to actually be the day-to-day operator, and he's actually driving straight from here to Wisconsin to begin his 4-month training. And I'm not like exaggerating that. He's literally getting in the car, his car is packed, and he's driving to Wisconsin for 4 months of training. And I do think we're a great fit for Canton.
How many jobs does this Culver's usually bring?
Off 60.
South of 60?
Off 60. Hopefully more, but a soft 60, yeah. And we're not your typical fast food. I want to make sure we get that out of the way. Like, it sounds like you've been Culver's, but we do a great job of connecting with the community. We do what we call share nights. We do fundraisers, and I own 3 Culver's restaurants right now, and that's what we do. You know, we support our team members, we support our team, and we really do a good job of reaching out to the community. We're not just your typical fast food drive-through restaurant, you know, and we make that known day one, so.
On the Culvers in Belleville,
I do not. I know of her. She
they do a
seems,
great job, so.
yeah, I think she does a great job too. So currently in Shelby Township, Chesterfield, and a location in Cleveland. But another thing is, like, again, my brother Lance will be there day to day. It's not an absentee ownership. We really care about the community, and we're gonna show it.
Can you shed light, just getting back to the traffic flow situation? This looks like it's very well thought out. So I've got to assume the alternatives have been presented, you know, in design phases, and there's a reason why the main flow to the Culver's site is to the west.
Yeah, I think Jeff can help me out with this, but we've been working with the Canton team, and I want to say we at least did 3 or 4 different legal descriptions to finally get this to where we all think this works best. Canton, my civil engineer Jeff, and Culver site plan team really worked hard to get this to where it kind of made sense for everybody. I want to touch on what Jeff said, it is a community site, and could be, I think 99% of our guests are going to be from Canton, and they're going to learn how to get into the restaurant. I think we're going to do a great job, and I think they're going to learn how to get to the restaurant, and it will be fine. I really do. I think the flow is fine, and this is not really unusual from a lot of different Culver site plans. So it's
And obviously Meyer has been involved with this from the
every
design
step of
standpoint,
the
so
way.
they're aware.
Oh, yeah, they're very aware
If
of
they
it.
had any concerns,
They had
they
to
would've-
approve it. That's kind of why this takes a long time. You know, like I said, this has taken almost a couple of years because, you know, we have to take all the feedback from Canton, give it back to Culver's, then give it back to Meyer, and back around again to finally get us to this point.
Gotcha,
Yep.
okay. All right, good to know, all right. Commissioner Acharya?
Yeah, most of my concerns have been addressed, but I've never been to a Culver's, and I look forward to, you know, visiting one soon. You know, I just want to congratulate Derek and Lance for the initiative and the jobs that you're creating.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I am selfishly looking forward to this. I hope this goes forward because it'll be one less place for a fireworks tent. Enough said.
Yeah, where's the fireworks tent gonna go now?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Already approve it.
Oh, okay. So do we have any more concerns from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. It's a long one, you don't have to,
Would we close the public
oh,
hearing, right?
yeah.
Yes, it's been closed.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. I was having a memory lapse there. Yes, go ahead with your motion.
I had to stop and think, too. I move to recommend approval of the request for site plan approval on parcel number 058-99-0003-720 for a private road, including a modification to the minimum parking required for the remaining Meyer site and modification of the minimum width of the private road easement as shown on the plans. The applicant has demonstrated that there is adequate parking to support Meyer's peak parking needs, and the existing 30-foot driveway width meets the general cross-section requirements for private roads. I further move to recommend approval of the special land use for a drive-through restaurant for Culver's on the proposed out parcel as described on the plans, as the plans meet all the specific design criteria for drive-through restaurants and general criteria for special land use.
Can we, would the board consider adding that the applicant contact Chase directly and to make sure that they're okay with the drive-through and any signage or something, work with Chase on?
Want to add subject to coordination with Chase over access
Yeah, I just want to
points.
make sure that, I know Chase is a big corporation, they get a letter in the mail and they probably doesn't go very, very far, but I want to make sure that the applicant at least goes to the branch and talk to the manager and
That
at
would
least.
go through Jeff, though, right? I mean, they wouldn't, they would work.
Well, you could
Well, it
just,
should be part
I
of
think
the
you're adding
motion.
an amendment to the motion,
Yeah.
subject to coordination with Chase Bank over access.
Correct, correct.
Fine with me?
And possibly look at internal sidewalks, if it fits.
Take care of that on site plan.
Perfect.
All right, so you're allowing an amendment to your motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have a motion and an amendment by Commissioner Zuber. Any seconding on that? All right, we got support by Commissioner Eggenberger. Any further discussion on?
I do have one question. I forgot about this until Alan just said that. In the packet, there's a letter from Progressive AE regarding the traffic study, and I had a question because in that letter, there's an attachment, and Jeff, once you remember your passcode, perhaps you could scroll to page 48, because there's a marked-up site plan with some recommendations and suggested improvements with
Sidewalk and cross.
yeah, there's a sidewalk, and Alan, that you made me think of that when you said the sidewalk, because they're proposing adding a sidewalk that goes north-south on the
East of the
on the
project.
east side of this property, and it's on page 48 of our packet.
There's also an east-west one.
Where's the east? I don't even see the east-west one.
Right at the top, I think, where it says add sidewalk and crosswalk.
Oh, add sidewalk and crosswalk markings to connect to Meyer parking lot. Yes, you're right. But that's just to the building, not all the way
Yeah,
through.
those recommendations we'll look at site plan, because
Okay.
that was, they did a detailed, when we asked them for a traffic study and a traffic evaluation, the traffic company did the whole ball of wax. So some of what you've asked for is incorporated in here, Alan. We'll make sure that the site plan that you see for special land use, conceptual site plan, we'll make sure all those things are incorporated into the site plan when they come in, and we'll make sure they coordinate with Chase on the access points and any additional traffic control they need for that.
All right, well then, we can proceed, since we have, those stipulations. We have a motion, and we had support, right, Commissioner Eggenberger? Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote, please?
Certainly, Commissioner Okon?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger?
Yes.
Commissioner Acharya?
Yes?
Commissioner Graham Hudek?
Yes?
Commissioner Zuber, yes, and Chairman Green.
Yes, and the next step, Jeff, with this?
Go to the Township Board for review of the special land use on the 28th. And
28th,
then the
okay.
site plan, whenever it's ready, it'll be back before you at a later date.
All right, good luck, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Right.
thanks. Can't wait till you open, just saying.
You might need to get us a menu before then, right?
I know the menu. I don't need the menu.
Our third agenda item tonight is the Veterans Administration Outpatient Facility, where we're considering a special land use for the parcel which is located east of Lots Road between Ford and Warren. Jeff, you want to give us more detail?
Yes, CESO is the engineer representing the developer of the VA, the private VA facility. This will be a leased facility proposed on a 20-acre site located east of Lots Road and north of Ford Road. Basically, this is the remainder of the original Auto Nation site when they owned the entire parcel, when Auto Nation was there before they sold off to Walmart and Sam's Club. So this comes in basically to the north side of that site. Basically, it's a heavily wooded site. They propose to use the south end of that 20 acres where their impacts are a lot less from a wetland standpoint. They'll be using the access from Lots Road and the existing access, north-south access between the Walmart and Sam's Club building that comes out to Ford Road with the traffic signal. So the proposed property is a 45,000 square foot, as I said, outpatient medical clinic to serve VA. One of the issues we had was relative to access and what the traffic impacts of this were. There's quite a, this would be a heavily used facility. They've got a high employee load at this site. The traffic analysis for this site basically shows that we've got an existing deficiency on southbound Lots Road due to the timing of Lots and Ford Road. So there's already a big backup, from the Walmart and Sam's Club site out onto Lots Road. But the additional traffic onto Lots Road from the VA facility will increase that and further degrade the level of service of that particular road. So we've asked the engineers to go back and look at how they might be able to manage traffic differently, or whether or not they would be willing to go ahead and make the improvement to Lots Road by adding a right turn lane from Lots to Ford Road to get people back out to the freeway, essentially, is one of the problems. One of the issues is traffic signal timing. MDOT has already said they will look at that to see whether or not they can adjust the timing on that. Some of that timing got adjusted when the left turn signals got put in at Lots Road, when Lots Road was paved to the south. But MDOT likes to keep as much green time on Ford Road as possible to keep traffic moving on Ford. So what happens then Lots Road, as a half-mile road, gets a lot less time. So one of the things that we've asked CESO to look at is whether or not they could direct traffic down to the light at Ford Road, so they're not having to come out to Lots Road, rather than letting people exit out onto Lots Road and make that left and back up traffic even further. So that's our major concern relative to the special land use. That's really the only criteria they're not meeting. Other than that, they did receive a minor variance to a wetland buffer where their parking lot abuts the existing buffers, where they're asking for some wetland as part of their wetland permit with the state. They're eating into the 25-foot buffer by about 10 feet. So there's little fingers of wetlands that kind of go in and out of the site. So they did receive that variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals last month. So the only outstanding issue we have is really how we're going to deal with the traffic and whether or not we have an adequate public facility to support the outpatient clinic. So we have Mandy Gauss with CESO representing the developer, which is Johnson Healthcare out of Texas, I believe.
Thank you, Jeff. And before we get going here, do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
You've been motioning everything
I motion a lot.
Support.
We have a motion to open the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Eggenberger. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Welcome.
Evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Mandy Goss. I'm with CESO 13060 Old US 27 in DeWitt, Michigan, 48820. We also have Representative Matt with Johnson Healthcare, and then Brandon and Michael with LS Black are here too. If certain questions come up I can't answer, they'd be happy to as well. Thanks for taking a look at this evening. As discussed, just to kind of give you a little overview of the entire site in relationship to where it's at with the intersection in question. I know with the traffic study, that's been a hot topic that we've been discussing lately. I know he probably has this up there as well. Since my pointer doesn't work there, though, I'll point here. So as you can see down here is the Ford Road and Lots Road. We do have an easement in place on the private drive and on the driveway between the Sam's Club and the Walmart in order to have access to our parcel. So there is already an easement in place that is benefits for this parcel in question. Excuse me. And that is also for utilities as well as access. So we'll be able to get all of our utilities necessary, either down the private drive, either depending on, we're still kind of working out the details of exactly where our sanitary is going to be coming from. But other than that, we do have the water. We have a stormwater pond planned already that does meet Wayne County standards. And as was mentioned, we did get a buffer variance for the wetlands. We are disturbing 0.28 wetlands. As you can see, there's a big area back here, but majority of it is wetlands. The site itself is 20.45 acres, and we're only disturbing 7.85 acres. So a lot of that is going to remain as it is today, a nice pristine wetland, and it's not going to be touched. The building size that's being proposed here is 45,000 square feet. With that, we require 225 parking stalls. We're proposing 250 with 26 ADA spaces. So just to give an idea of when we did the traffic study, because I know that's the question now for the traffic, how it's accessing the site, we did counts from 6 to 9 and 3 to 7, and the peak hours actually are from 7:30 to 8:30, and then 3:30 to 4:30. So that's what was analyzed in the study. So that's going to be the worst hour of the day. This use is estimated based on ITE trip generation manual to have 1,718 trips per day. So that's 859 trips in and 859 trips out, just to kind of give an idea. And that's throughout the entire day. And they're open from, I got that here, 7 to 4:30, I believe it was. I wrote it down. Yeah, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. is when the clinic itself is open. So just to kind of show, we did do our analysis with the peak hour from 3:30 to 4:30. So when a lot of the people are leaving at the end of the day, all the staff, if they luck out at 4:30, it's after that peak hour. So some of that traffic too will be distributed. When you go by ITE, it's the worst case. It's very conservative, and it is likely that it won't be as bad as what is shown on that study, just to kind of give that as, it is the worst case scenario. Another thing to kind of keep in mind too is that's a public facility for the ITE generation. When we're looking at a private facility, they typically don't turn patients over as quickly. Their in and out is not as quick. And unfortunately, we don't have a count at an existing VA facility to be able to compare that to. Otherwise, we could have possibly used that and had lower traffic counts as well. So again, just from a traffic standpoint, the study itself is very conservative. One thing to point out, the issue on the study that you'll see is going to be the problem typically is the movement, southbound movement on Lots Road and Ford. What's happening is there's one lane for southbound and right turns currently. It's not a separated right turn lane. And then again, as Jeff had mentioned, your signal timing there is mostly for Ford, so you don't get as many cars through as you would like heading southbound. With the study, in the existing, right now, a right turn lane is needed at that location. Right now, that right turn, or southbound through right, is a level of service F, which is in traffic language, it's failing. That's the worst it can get. It could get longer delays, but as the worst movement it can be. So in the study, it was recommended that right turn lane is needed now and is not a cause of the VA facility going in. It is already an existing condition, and it already is definitely necessary. With that, we did submit to Wayne County as well as MDOT, because that is the county road. We have not received comments back from Wayne County yet. We've been waiting, hoping for some. They're not the quickest to get things turned around. So we're hoping in the next few weeks we'll be able to get some feedback from the county on that right turn lane. And if they would be able to, if they would be able to help install that, or what their measures would be to help mitigate some of this as well. I know with that right turn lane, if that was put in, what we recommended is that would be put in a current situation now, and then under the build situation when the VA clinic goes in, that would function very well, because you're basically taking the traffic and dividing it right and through, and then we would recommend a right turn phase light that would be timed with the left turn. So with that, it gets that Lots Road basically double the signal timing without having, to change the signal timing much, just to kind of think of it like that. So that right turn lane is actually very important right now, today, as it sits. It is needed. I know in the analysis it mentions that we would be adding 58% traffic to the right turn movement. And I want to point out that that's not really completely correct how it's worded. They were looking at it from the existing peak hour to the build, and it didn't take into consideration when we compare from the 2021 no build, which is your growth rate for when you're actually going to have it built and opened. So if you can compare that, it was a 54%. However, that's just an increase in volume, so it's not an increase to the overall total southbound right volume specifically. So For an example, that is the worst hour. In the morning AM peak hour, it's only an 18% southbound right volume increase, and then it is a 35% total southbound right volume increase for the PM traffic. And again, that is the worst time of the day. At all other times of the day, it's not going to have that much of an impact at that location, just to kind of point that out. So how it was recommended in our study is it's not the VA coming that's causing the problem. The problem is already there, and it should not be the VA's responsibility is to fully put in that turn lane. As you can see, our site doesn't even really abut that intersection. Initially, we didn't know we were going to need to do a study to even analyze this, and then I know it was brought up that this intersection has current concerns, and that was the reason the study was performed. So I would be happy to answer any additional questions. I just kind of wanted to give a little more detail on that specifically, since that was the one item in the report that was recognized as being deficient.
Okay, Mandy, at this point, is the VA making a commitment, or is Johnson Healthcare making a commitment to do the improvement to make sure that the facility is adequate to support the needs of the use? I mean, one of the things that the Planning Commission has to look at as part of the criteria, are there adequate public facilities to support the use? We have an existing deficiency. We can't require them to fix the existing deficiency. However, it's unlikely that Wayne County has the resources to fix the existing deficiency in the short term and potentially in the long term. So the issue is it's a critical component because we're adding traffic to the road that's already a problem, especially at an intersection in terms of how the intersection functions. So, unless they can regulate the traffic in another manner to remove traffic from making it, because they are making it worse. They are, adding 35% additional volume, which causes an additional backup, on southbound Lots Road. So basically, they're going from an F to an F minus. I'll put it, I guess it's that way. It's F. It's going to be F, but it's going to be worse. So which we try to avoid those. We try, and uses where we have a special land use or a special approval to make sure that the project mitigates their own impact, so that the worst condition doesn't worsen.
And we could go back and look at the study of trying to direct more traffic to use the bypass. I mean, we do have access to send traffic down the Walmart Sam's Club. Right now, this traffic, I believe, was a level of service D currently. So it could handle a little bit more, but again, we don't want to overload that signal either. And we could possibly look at some signal timing adjustments here and try directing people that way.
Does that, do they have a dedicated right out of Walmart, or is that a
Yes.
through and right too?
They have a dedicated right out, through, and left at the Walmart.
Do they have the ability to lengthen the right turn lane out?
They would lose some parking, and that would be something that would have to be addressed with Walmart if that was looked at. Because that would be outside
Right,
the easement area.
I mean, that's
that
an
we
internal
currently have.
driveway to a commercial site. It's not impacting a public road, so we don't really care about the level of service internally to the site. What we do is we care about the level of service on the public road, but we don't necessarily want to cause a problem for an existing business by causing, additional traffic that's going to, impede traffic, overall for the customer, whether it's on a public road or a private road, is going to be inconvenienced. So at this point, we don't know. Wayne County has not responded. We don't have a specific commitment from Johnson Healthcare, the applicant, on what they're proposing to do to mitigate the traffic. So without a specific proposal from them and a commitment from them to put the right turn lane in to satisfy the issues with the level of service, I would recommend tabling, at a minimum, tabling the application until they bring more information back for your consideration.
Okay, with that in mind, let's continue with the public hearing. Any concerns, thoughts? Yes, sir, come on up.
Roger Dupree, the piece of property that you're looking at here,
Where do you live? I'm sorry, where do you live?
I live on Lots Road.
Okay, your address?
The finger that comes out on to Lots Road of this property, can you show that to me?
What's your address?
6121 North Lots Road.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record.
Okay, this is what piece now? This is the parcel over here. Okay, this is my house. 90% of that piece of property.
We've got the aerial up on the
Yeah,
screen.
okay.
Thank you. That square that is on Lots Road, you see the square that is the largest one
The
there?
largest one, okay.
That is my property.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at across the street. Is there going to be an entrance there?
No.
The entrance will be the existing entrance off of Lots Road for Walmart and Sam's Club behind the store.
That piece of, that light there, that, I can wait 15 minutes to get to Ford Road from that light, from that traffic that is there now. There's also an adjacent road that runs next to urethane on the other side of Lots, I'm sorry. This is a service drive from where the bridge comes over Ford Road right here. This is also a road that runs all the way back to here. Because you can see that there is urethane is here, and you can see a cloud unit is here. Why wouldn't they access this road to come out onto Ford Road? And alleviate some of that trouble.
I don't know whether that's a public or a private road within the city of Westland that serves those industrial buildings kind of north of the bridge. And basically that's serviced with the turnaround underneath the bridge. That sits in the city of Westland, but I'm not sure whether or not it's a public road or not. It just may be a private driveway for that industrial business.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, what are you going to do in front of my piece of property? What is the development that's going into there?
Their property will access Lots Road where the existing driveway comes out just north of Sam's Club. The property way up north, nothing will be done with that property in the north end.
I've seen those, what they're calling for is a retention pond.
This is the pond right here, and then the only thing we have coming here is a storm pipe that's just gonna connect to the system.
It's gonna connect to the
So it's just gonna be a
system.
storm pipe that runs.
Okay, so you're gonna cause havoc here, number one, that goes down to there. This is your facility, I understand that here. You're saying that you're gonna have them come down here off of Lots Road here, and you're gonna go here. When it already takes people from here at peak time traffic today in a half an hour increment from 2:30 to 3 o'clock, I counted 45 semis, and I counted 98 vehicles that came through there in a half an hour period that went southbound on Lots Road. If the railroad track here has a railroad train come down, the road gets backed up all the way to here. And they're stopped.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. It's very enlightening. Yep. Yes, sir?
My name's Mike. I'm actually Router's neighbor at 6095 North Lots Road.
Your last name?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Medine?
Thank you.
Okay.
So a lot of some of the stuff that has been said, that I have written down here has already been said, and some of it might not be too relevant, but as a concerned parent living on Lots Road, these are concerns of mine. So my wife and I, we have two beautiful daughters, so safety is obviously of utmost importance. The traffic on Lots Road currently is already way too dangerous. Not to mention the apartment complex behind our house, there's a lot of kids in there too. The proposal, this would just add even more traffic to an already crowded road. I have personally seen several accidents on Lots Road since we moved in. My wife and I moved in 2013. Even saw a car that got T-boned and flipped over right in front of our house at Lots in Cambridge. In points to heavy traffic, you also have the train at Warren, and it would be just east of Lots. So that backs up traffic quite a bit there as well. As everybody has already talked about, the light at Ford and Lots backs up very far with current traffic conditions. There have been times where I've had to wait 4 or 5 lights just to make it onto Ford Road. That's probably 15 minutes or so, which is outrageous. I believe that Lots Road is an emergency route already for the Canton Fire and Rescue teams. I see them driving through there with their emergency lights on a daily basis, roughly, all the time. And talking about routes, I believe Lots Road is also a bus route for all the kids. They're pulling in and out of the apartment complex, obviously daily, on school days. There are no sidewalks on Lots Road between Ford and Warren. Actually, I think there is a sidewalk closer to Ford by the,
By Sam's Club? Yeah.
there are no sidewalks. People have to walk or ride their bike on the grass or down the middle of the street in the left-hand turn lane to get where they are going. This is yet another factor of how much more dangerous it will be if this proposal is approved. So we've put a lot of equity into our home over the years and plan on continuing to do so. If approved, I just think that this will most likely decrease property value in the area and potentially diminish all of the hard work that we've put into our home. And Roger mentioned semi-trucks, and I think one of the access points that they're talking about is also the access point for semi-trucks for Walmart and Sam's Club as well. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Anyone else from the audience? Yes, sir?
Where it shows the Walmart and the Sam's Club and how it interacts with this. Again, you know, I'm kind of a history major, since I've been around for a while. When the Auto Nation was constructed, which was actually a smaller footprint than we have here, this was designated as open space. Again, you know, times have changed, and I realize that. But look at the open space that leaves us now. And you got to understand, this is forested wetland. This is a really nice piece of property. I hope it could be used somehow. I think it is deficient in traffic. It's there's a lot of semi-traffic that enters the back of those two big commercial buildings. I mean, there's a lot of trucks that got to come in there every day for delivery. I think the point was well taken for the driveway that does come to Westland.
How could that be Westland if your marks are in Canton?
Well, I think it's probably somewhere around here is separation. But that is a private drive that serves a cell tower. I don't know if that's an easement that could be had. It would probably enhance that, it would probably enhance the intersection.
Okay, thank you very much.
And, you know, we just paved this road. That's the bad part. We just paved this whole road, and now all of a sudden we're at an F again. It seems like we never build things for the future. We just build things for today. And as we've seen in the culverts things, we just try to jam on and make up for the mistakes that were made.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that's it from the audience. Do I hear a motion?
I would like to move to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, anyone from the commission have any thoughts on Jeff's idea of tabling this? I see a lot of issues, traffic-wise. I'm not comfortable. I think it could be just irresponsible for us to proceed without having a lot of these questions answered. Yes, absolutely. There's no motion on the floor right now.
All right, just a couple comments. I would definitely look into that. I don't know if it's a private road or whatever it is to the east, but I would definitely look into that and see if that can be improved. I don't know the condition, I don't know the size, I don't know what it can handle, but at least it'll give you another major point out to Ford Road. One thing on the traffic study that I don't think is covered, and I'd like to see some information, is how many deliveries Walmart does get a day. Because even if I know, because I go through there all the time, there's always semis that are parked on that road that's behind the Sam's Club. So even if you go to the Google Maps, and it's probably on that one too, you could actually see a semi truck parked currently on that photo. I would stay away from utilizing the main drive between Sam's and Walmart. That's just my experience, because that parking lot is crazy. But I agree with all the neighbors. I mean, every time my wife wants to go to Gordon's Food, I cringe, because it's always a pain in the butt to get out of there. And I was very happy when Starbucks opened up a store farther down on the other side of 275, because again, it was horrible getting out of there. So I definitely hear what the neighbors are saying, and would like to table it too and get some new information.
Personally, I like to get a win-win out of these projects that come before us, but this is one that I see is fraught with a lot of problems traffic-wise. I have some questions on some other arenas as well. We are destroying potentially a lot of trees, right? I mean, has there been a tree analysis done yet on this? And I know that the township has provisions for tree replacement or relocation, et cetera, but I just cringed to see that much being destroyed. The other issue that I have is, if we're going to try to alleviate a traffic problem, I would prefer to see it not including the Walmart Sam's Club situation, because internal confusion there is just, it's going to make matters worse for them. They may not even be aware of this being discussed this way, but it just, you're creating a street there between the two facilities, and that's not what it was designed for. So this could be a situation, if we don't alleviate these issues satisfactorily, this could be a situation where this just is not going to fit. I hate to say that, I really do, but we have a problem already existing, and what we're talking about is loading more problem onto an existing problem. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I can't see that happening. I really can't. So I'm going to be for tabling to allow you to work on that, work through these traffic issues, if nothing else. I don't know what kind of satisfaction you're going to get from Wayne County. I mean, it sometimes is very difficult to deal with them, but it's going to have to be done. And we're going to have to know that this is going to be okay for the future. Anybody else have any comments? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I share the concern about the traffic on Lots Road and the concern about the traffic on that access road in between Sam's and Walmart. I don't go to that shopping center very often because I live on the opposite side of the township, but whenever I've gone there, there's been a lot of traffic, and it is confusing to get in and out of there. So I agree that I think that would be a mistake to direct a lot of traffic through there just to get to that light.
Thank you. And actually, the VA is important. We know that
Absolutely.
we are definitely lacking services for our veterans, and that's not an issue. We know that that's important, and it would be great if we could find a win-win situation in our township. But like other people said, that Walmart, even though you were saying it was worst case, the traffic study you have, it's always worst case there. There's a lot of foot traffic between Walmart and Sam's Club there. If you ever drive there, all day long, people are walking between the two. So if you're going to make that a street now, with cars going back and forth, it's going to be even more dangerous just in that parking lot alone. And that is a good idea. It's interesting because I was looking at that earlier. I was wondering what that was. I know that there's that truck stop there. There's that truck loading cement area there. So, oh, underneath the bridge.
That is what I was mentioning to you. There's a service drive here, and this is your thing. This is probably your thing. They're doing that major reconstruction right there on the corner.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is a driveway that runs back here, and this is the cloud. It's a cloud unit. It's a storage facility for cloud. And they have their
Oh, okay.
there, and they held the whole 9 yards. But this road here runs all the way back to here, which is an access to this parcel that they're talking about making. And as you can see, Westland is over here. This is not Westland.
That is the Westland border.
That is the border,
That is
right.
the Westland border.
Right.
The Walmart, yeah, the yellow line extended all the way down is Canton's border.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. So this is Canton, and it's Westland, and it's Canton.
But the driveway is in Westland, so, and it's a
Yeah.
private driveway, so they would have to deal with the private property owner to see whether or not they could improve and expand that driveway, and then it comes out to Ford Road, basically. It doesn't come directly out to Ford Road, it comes out to the service drive and then out to Ford Road.
Right.
So it doesn't have direct access to the Ford Road, it has access to the service road, which is a one-way road that direction, so it's only, right, so it's only an outbound, it's not an, to do an inbound, you'd have to go around and back around to get up
Right.
into it.
So in short, that they'd have to deal with the owners of that property as well as Wayne County.
Well, they'd also have to deal, they'd also have to
and
deal
with Westland.
Well, they'd have to deal with MDOT because that service road is an MDOT service road underneath the
Okay.
bridge. So there would be an issue relative to use of that and expanding that to more than what it is currently if they're going to have to widen it, so.
So there's a lot of work to do.
Can I ask one more thing, Greg?
Yes.
So just also, we've had problems in the township with railroad tracks and stopping traffic. I mean, we've been dealing with that constantly. So the traffic impact study, I'd like to, that'd be great if we could see that. And also, because I know it was not in our packet, but also if we could include, it should include the train times. So I know you're looking at rush hour, but we know when that train goes. It's pretty much steady in terms of the time, so we should include when that traffic is stopped at the end of Lots Road. We should see that, and also the bus traffic should be included in that. And I know because of that train stopping, some of the traffic there, our emergency people have had to use other routes. So if we are using that as a major route for fire and police, that should also be included in the traffic study. Let me see, and I think that's all I had there.
So that's a major route for coming from Canton Fire, coming from station number 2, right? Coming down Lots Road to get on 275, right, okay. Right.
Study. And also the greenery, I mean, in terms of, I know we are taking out a lot of trees, and we really need to, if you're gonna do that, make sure you have a lot of walking paths and open spaces in the design. I mean, that's really important.
Understand, some of those trees in that woods are over 200 years old. I could hug them, and 3 other people could hug them, would never touch hands.
Wow.
I walk that woods all the time. It takes me an hour and 45 minutes to walk that whole piece of property.
Wow.
I like it. I do really enjoy going out there. But like I said, I enjoy the trees. I have nothing else to be in. My son was a Marine, and I have a lot of friends that are VA. And I would appreciate a facility being, I wouldn't have a problem. That isn't the problem. The problem that I'm having is with the traffic.
Right, I understand. And I do appreciate the thoughts and the concerns that you've brought to us, because I'm enlightened with some of those property situations over there, so I do appreciate that. Even though the public hearing is closed. Open space, okay.
Because as you see, the deficiency of the Sam's Club and Walmart in regards to open space.
How-
Never sold a bill of goods less.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, let's move along here. Oh, do you have
Yeah.
another thought?
Yeah, I'm sensitive to the needs of the VA, but I think the mitigation of the traffic problem and the replanting of the trees, or at least a good portion of the trees that are going to be cut, is a very sensitive issue. So I think both the issues have to be taken care of before we can go to the next level.
99% of those trees out there are tagged right now.
They've required them to be tagged because they had to do a tree
So
survey.
they can do the
so.
analysis. Anyone else have any comments or concerns? Do I hear any kind of a motion? Did you,
I mean, your option is, okay, you have 3 options. 1, to recommend approval, 1, to recommend denial based
One
on the
is-
fact that we don't have an adequate public facility, or 3, a motion to table and give them a chance to get more information on traffic.
Stepped up to the podium. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm Matt Clare with Johnson Healthcare Real Estate. I've done 7 of these facilities around the country for our veterans, and I really do enjoy the opportunity to bring good health care to our veterans. A couple things I wanted to point out that Mandy mentioned was The usage of these facilities is not like a typical medical office building, which our firm does as well. We do private sector as well as public for the VA. The trip counts that you get that they have to pull from the traffic engineers when they're doing their traffic studies, there's only a book that says medical office building. There's nothing specific to how the VA operates. The time that the physicians spend with the veterans, they'll spend a half hour with a veteran. I never get a half hour with my doctor. I get 10 minutes, right? And they will go through, 5 patients in an hour. In the private sector, they may go through 2 patients a day or per hour within these VA clinics. So we're commissioning on some of our other projects that we're building around the country, some independent traffic studies to just kind of prove out the fact that these facilities do not generate the kind of traffic that we have to pull from these manuals that are just standardized. So, I don't know if the county will have any, understanding of that with us or not, allow us to do an independent study of some of these other VA clinics that we've done around the country to kind of show that, yeah, these truly aren't generating the 1,000, what was it?
Okay.
1,700, trips per day.
Okay, Matt, if I can interrupt you for just a moment. The issue is not that how much you're generating at this point. Right now, we're dealing with a facility that's already deficient. Okay, it's already at a level of service F.
An intersection you're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about that segment of Lots Road. We're not talking about just the intersection. We're talking about that segment between Sam's Club entrance to Lots Road, because essentially that's where it's backing up to is the entrance in front of Walmart right now. So what we're talking about is we've got an existing deficiency. The criteria that the Planning Commission had before them is whether or not we have adequate public facilities to support the construction of this facility and for it to operate efficiently and effectively without further degrading the roadway. So any additional traffic from any large-scale project such as this is going to add additional traffic to that segment of roadway and cause an additional degradation, to whether it's 13% or whether it's 35% or whether it's 50%. So we understand that the traffic counts may not be exact and that there's some flexibility in there, and we always have to work at worst case, but we're already dealing with a worst case scenario, and you're adding to a worst case scenario. And I think that's what the Planning Commission, one, they have to make a decision for you, to give you an opportunity to go back and evaluate it or make a commitment to improve the situation and mitigate your impacts. So I think that's the issue tonight is, one, we don't have a hard commitment from you as the developer to mitigate your impacts. 2, Wayne County's not going to help you. All they're going to do is say they're going to accept your assumptions and your traffic study is correct, or they're going to say this is what we need from you in order, for us to allow you to go forward with any type of additional impact on Wayne County Road. One of the issues here is that the only permit that they may need from Wayne County is a stormwater permit to access the county road or a utility permit to access Lots Road. They don't, you're not adding another driveway to Lots Road, so Wayne County is not going to be evaluating driveway and traffic from Lots Road. We asked them, and as part of our special land use criteria, we've taken it upon ourselves to ask them, and we didn't ask them to do a traffic study because we knew Lots Road was already bad. That's part of the special land use criteria to make sure adequate facilities are supported there. And when we have a facility that's going to generate a large amount of traffic, that's why we need that information so we make an educated decision on whether or not it's an acceptable risk or whether or not an improvement is necessary before we allow them to move forward. We cannot require you to do anything. We can't require you to do an off-site improvement. But we can either approve or reject your request, okay? Okay, so that's it. By law, we cannot tell you have to do an improvement as a condition of approval. We look at what your proposal is, we look at what the impacts are, and we say, does it meet the criteria or does it not meet the criteria, and can we approve it? So that's what they're looking at tonight, is whether to recommend approval, recommend denial, or recommend tabling to give you a chance to go back and reevaluate. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So even if they agree to make some mitigations to the intersection, is that going to, at what point is it going to make it better? I mean,
Well, that's what they would have to come to us with, to show.
they can have a dedicated right and left turn lane. I mean, is that going,
That's-
I mean, at the same,
That's not for us to dictate.
right.
You know, so.
At
it
the end
would-
of the day, they're still using an access
And Wayne
drive
County
to-
may come back and say, okay, there's not enough right-of-way available, and based on the geometric issues, we're not going to allow you to put a right turn lane anyway. So, I mean, we feel we've evaluated, we feel there's enough right-of-way available, they might have to remove a traffic signal, they might have to move some DDA poles out of the way, because it's a wider sidewalk there, they may have to narrow the sidewalk at the intersection. But we think there's enough real estate within the right-of-way to do that. It's a matter of whether or not, we know Wayne County doesn't have it in their plan to do an improvement, so the only other alternative then is for somebody else to do the improvement. So right now, we don't know what their commitment is, so.
And as Jeff said, that we cannot make you do that. However, it is something that you might want to look at. It is not my favor to totally deny this. It is my position to table this, to let you work on these issues and address the concerns that you heard before us tonight. Not just the traffic issues, but I mean, there's safety concerns, there's right of access to our public facilities. We need to look at all of that on this road. And if it involves you going to private owners on the other side of the property in order to make that work, I know that would be a lot to do, but it would behoove you to at least investigate what that would entail. My feeling is that right now, this project is a no-go unless we solve these problems. That's just the way I feel. One person up here.
I agree.
You're going to motion to table?
I would like to make a motion to table this until these issues can be worked out.
Do we need to spell out what we're looking for?
If you're
I
just
think it's
going
written
to
out
motion
here,
to
isn't it?
table, there's no discussion on a motion to table.
Okay. All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Eggenberger. Any further discussion?
There's no
Commissioner Zuber?
discussion on a tabling motion.
Right, okay. Commissioner Zuber, would you call the vote, please?
Certainly, Commissioner Okon,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Acharya,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Zuber, yes, and Chairman Green.
Yes.
I think the discussion speaks for itself. I know that they've got their marching orders. They know what they have to bring back as part of their evaluation to you when they come back, and we will basically schedule them to be reconsidered by you when they're ready, so.
Okay, all right. Thank you for
you.
coming before us. I know this is kind of hard to hear, but,
Yeah.
okay. All right, that concludes the agenda items of the night. We have some business to send to staff. The Clover Communities SRB Servicing Conditional Rezoning. Do I hear a motion to send that to staff?
So moved.
Second?
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Zuber and support by Commissioner Bennett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anything to add from staff? we
That's
adjourn?
it for right now. We have no public hearings scheduled for February. I'm not sure whether we'll have any site plans from you. We'll let you know as soon as we know.
Okay, all right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, folks.